What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to the final day of 2021 and happy New Year's Eve. So today we are going to address a new retirement savings bill that's starting to get some additional coverage and additional discussions on, which could potentially be good news because this would both address retirement and it would address student loan payments. We're also going to talk a little bit about the stimulus update, what we're hearing there. I got important news from the IRS. We got some letters that will be coming out over the next month. We need to address that. And I have some daily news for you on COVID. So first off, hopefully you guys are having an incredible day. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful New Year's Eve. But let's get into the update for today. First, is the stimulus package in 2022 even likely? The answer is yes. Lawmakers, according to multiple reports, are already expected to be coming back to Washington this next week. So next week, they will be back in Washington, and some are expected to start addressing the big issues. Now, some have reportedly made changes to their strategies. They want to come in with a new strategy because some Democrats, and again, these are mainly Democrats that are coming in with this new agenda and new strategies. But what we're hearing right now is that many are arguing that they came into the negotiations last time knowing that Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema might not support the bill. But they came in just hoping and praying that they would eventually fall in line and get something done. Well, it's interesting because now some lawmakers, some Democratic lawmakers, mostly senators, are actually reportedly just going to come back and fall in line with what the rest of the party wants. However, those two people falling in line will not be Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, which means they have to use a different strategy. What is in place in that strategy, we don't know. What will pass, we don't know. What does Senator Joe Manchin really support at this time, honestly? I don't even think he knows. But what I can tell you is they will be back and they will start working on the stimulus package. Do I think it passes in the early part of January? Absolutely not. Do I think it passes in January? I'd say it has a 50-50 shot. I'd say, to be 100% honest, I would assume this bill would likely pass in February. Okay? Just to be honest, I think it would pass in February, has a greater chance. So, we'll see what happens there, but that is the stimulus news that we have this morning. But let's get into this new retirement news. I thought this was very interesting because we haven't heard about more provisions for retirement. We've heard a lot about student loan payments. We've heard a little bit about Social Security. We've heard a lot about lawmakers' plans to pass additional bills and provisions for this so-called infrastructure bill, but that was about it. Well, here's what I want you to know. In 2019, Congress passed a bill called the Secure Act. Now, this provided a lot of changes to our country's retirement system. And in 2022, a new bill was created and called the Secure Act 2.0. And that started to make its way through Congress. Well, we actually didn't get anywhere with this, but Republican Representative Fred Keller, he says that he thinks this provision could make its way back in the upcoming year. And the purpose behind this bill is to provide more of an incentive to younger people to invest into their retirement early on in order to get the effects of compounding interest. Now, here's what you need to know regarding the Secure Act 2.0. In the provision, it stipulates that your employer would provide retirement savings on your behalf in exchange for you making student loan payments and paying off your student debt. So, here's a quick little example of how it would work. Let's say you pay $100 per month towards your student debt, student loans. Your employer would then match that $100 per month, and they'd put that money into your retirement account, like a 401k. Now, the reason why this is such a big deal and the reason why this is actually being pushed by a Republican is because Republicans, well, Democrats I think know this as well, but if people had more retirement savings, right? They had more money in retirement. That means they put the money there themselves, or their employer did, right? Through incentives and benefits and, tax, whatever, right? Doesn't matter. But if more people had retirement savings, investments, it would mean the U.S. government would pay less for some of these people once they get to that retirement age. So that's the kind of goal behind this, is to let's bring down the cost of Social Security, Medicare, right? SNAP benefits. Let's bring the costs down in the future by providing a system and a plan and put that in place today. That's the goal. Now, they say this is extremely important because data from Bankrate suggests that college graduates with student debt usually have to delay certain priorities. Things like emergency savings, something like retirement, or even buying a home. But we have some percentages on this. About 43% of college graduates say they have to delay creating an emergency savings. 43%. And it's all because the average person has a payment of roughly $400 per month. $400 per month could put together a pretty nice and substantial emergency savings. They also state that 23% must delay buying a home because of these payments. And we know 29% delay retirement savings for multiple years because they're still paying off student debt. And some say it's more important to pay off student debt than it is to retire or to put in money for retirement. But at the same time, they say if you can do both, do both. But who has that kind of money? So now the only problem with this provision is that about 33% of private sector employees don't even have access to retirement plans, at least not through their work. And because of this, according to reports, using student loan payments as a way to pretty much fund a retirement account wouldn't help a large percentage of the population. And that's one of the reasons why a decent amount of lawmakers do not support this provision, because of it not actually going and benefiting the majority or every single person here in the United States. And that's the issue that we're having. And so going back into the stimulus talks and updates, what we know is there are certain provisions that lawmakers don't like because they don't actually benefit every single person, right? We know student loan payments and forgiving student loan payments of up to $10,000 or even $50,000. Some don't support this because it only goes after those that were able to go to college. The people that were able to go to college probably have, according to experts, I think it was like upper 50% likelihood of having a middle income or higher. Okay? So people that didn't go to college are very likely to have a lower income job, lower income earnings. And that's tough. So that's the problem, is that if we are not going to benefit the majority or all of the American people, then is this something that we should really consider? And that's what's really up for discussion at this point. But we also have some IRS news that I really want to get to you. The IRS, they stated this a few weeks ago that they will be sending out letters for people who receive stimulus checks and the child tax credit payments. They're going to be sending out these letters on January 19th, 2022. Now, they are urging people to keep these letters for their records and not throw these away. Now, the reason for this is because if you missed a child tax credit payment or a stimulus, any stimulus money whatsoever, you will need these letters just to determine how much you are still owed. They say, if you file your taxes without some of these letters, you could see your tax return get delayed, as it will likely go through a manual review. And just to give you an idea, last year, we had over 10 million tax returns get delayed for months because they had to go through a manual review. And guess what? We didn't have that many people working at the IRS at that time, so that created a lot of issues. So that's one thing I just wanted to address. The other thing regarding the IRS is that the IRS now has a section on their website for stolen property. they say, and if you go to this, you may have seen this on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, wherever. The IRS is saying, and I quote, "If you steal property, you must report its FMV, that's fair market value, in your income in the year you steal it, unless in the same year you return it to its rightful owner." Now, this has to do with the looting and smash and grabs that we've seen throughout this entire year. We also saw this last year. But I just want to point this out because a lot of people don't realize this. Al Capone, he was indicted on tax evasion, right? It wasn't anything else. It was tax evasion. Now, the IRS is stating you must report the stolen property's fair market value on your income the year that you steal it. So let's say they find out that you stole a purse or purses at Nordstrom's, right? Let's say down in San Francisco. If you stole that purse and the local law enforcement can't come after you, guess what? The IRS can. Because the IRS stated on their website, if you stole any property, you have to report its fair market value. Let's say you stole purses in the excess of $3,000. Think the IRS is going to come after you for taxes on $3,000? Well, according to this provision, yeah, they will. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here, but I promise I will keep you updated on that as we get more information. But let's get into some COVID news for today. Here's what I can tell you. Multiple reports are now saying that Omicron symptoms include things like the runny nose, scratchy throat, muscle fatigue, headaches, and now night sweats. Now, I can tell you during the winter months, many people tend to get very warm at night, but researchers say that night sweats aren't just you getting a little bit warm. These night sweats are ones where you wake up completely soaked to the point where you almost need to change your clothes. So, I just wanted to report this because I want you to keep these symptoms in mind, and as we make our way through the toughest times of this Omicron variant, just understand the symptoms are likely going to change just a little bit. So, if you have any questions regarding Omicron, stimulus, the IRS provisions, or even this Secure Act 2.0, let me know down in the comment section below. One thing I can tell you, lawmakers are still pushing for more. They still want to see more regarding any infrastructure or stimulus to the American people, but at the same time, they are all fighting for their own different agendas. So, we'll see what happens, but as always, as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and share all the latest news and updates. Again, just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.